the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky, just the two of us. You and I.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for a while. So it looks like we got a new subscriber on the YouTube side. Welcome, Kyle. And we got Woods joining us from the Pacific Northwest. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, thanks, G.
And we're talking hiking today. And that looks like they're next to a sequoia. So that's south of your neck of the woods there. You don't have any of the big trees up there, huh?
Not anymore. There's a couple islands in the San Juan, in the Puget Sound that the big trees never got cut, but we cut all those years and years ago.
So are they like so few that they're historic landmarks, or there's like a forest of them?
Yeah, but the islands aren't super big. But yeah, you can't. Some of them that I can think of, you can't even go on the island legally. Like because there's flat out redwoods and stuff on them.
So you can just look at them, or you can't even go near them, you're saying, physically?
Yeah, there's big signs saying stay the hell off of it.
Huh. That's annoying.
But, yeah, it's public land, but you can't go on it. Go government.
Well, that's how they preserve stuff like the last couple of redwoods in the state, I guess. So we're going to talk about hiking. So you ever been hiking before?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit when I was younger and way more fit.
So backpacking? Backpack?
Yeah, but not like more than maybe a couple days.
All right. So internal frame, external frame.
External frame.
So you're talking 70s, 80s.
Yeah, it was an 80s. I bought it in the 80s. It was an 80s pack. Oh yeah, and I used it throughout the 90s because that's the only pack I had, and I was a kid.
Oh, so when you're a kid, so no.
I mean, I'm like 18, 19. I mean, when you get old, kids still 19, 20.
But I'm saying, okay, so were you carrying?
Not at the time. I had a rifle, but I didn't have a pistol at the time.
So you carried a rifle then?
Yeah, Mossberg 500.
A rifle or shotgun?
Shotgun. Sorry.
Well, come on, you're on the Daily Gun Show here. So, what are you talking? Just with a sling?
Yeah.
Carrying it over your shoulder, or what? How are you carrying it with your backpack?
Usually it was over my shoulder, depending on kind of where we were. Then if we got off of the the marked trails and stuff, then I would carry it a little better. Because I had been in there enough where I knew where the big wild animals are going to be and where they're not going to be.
Are you worried about just wild animals or humans?
At the time it never really dawned on me that humans could be a problem. So I think it was just kind of wild animals and bears and stuff.
Really? So this is in the 80s and you weren't concerned about trailhead issues?
No, but I wasn't, I wasn't always the sharpest knife in the drawer when it was the 80s.
Right on. So some other people are jumping in here, and we'll get their insight on it. But yeah, so that's definitely a thing. Once you're up in the middle of nowhere at a trailhead, offloading a bunch of gear and going and doing your thing, and people know you're going to be away. Unfortunately, that's an opportunity for some people to do bad stuff. So even in the middle of nowhere, I think it's definitely worth your while to carry. I mean, you got mountain lions and bears and rabid smaller critters, and then you got crazy people that just live up in the woods doing crazy illegal stuff, meth labs and marijuana farms and other things that are outside the law that, when you're out in the middle of nowhere again.
We found a grow one time when we were wandering around. We ran the fuck away from that. Sorry to cuss. We got the hell away quick.
And it's not always, it's, hippies, whatever, doing their thing. A lot of times, at least down here, it's pretty organized crime, and they're not super thrilled about people coming around and booby traps and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I think it's worth carrying a firearm. But we've got some other people jumping in. Got Gary jumping in from Kansas. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
And then PBR here in Oregon.
Yep.
Right on. So we're talking backpacking and feedback. Do you guys backpack? So PBR?
Yes, I do. Often.
Right on. So external, internal frame?
I both, but usually I use my internal frame.
All right. And then Gary? Backpacking? Hiking?
Not in a long time, but I have done some of it, yeah.
All right. Back in the day, backpacking or hiking?
Hiking mostly. Nature trails and stuff like that.
Okay, so driving out to a place, doing the hike, getting back to the car kind of thing?
Yeah.
And worried about packing back then?
Not a lot. I mean, I might have a little bit of stuff on me, not a big pack.
Oh, I'm sorry, packing like 2A, like carrying a gun.
Oh, that was before my 2A days.
People are asking for links out here. I'm throwing some links on the gun channel side. So PBR, carrying while hiking, backpacking specifically.
Always. At least a pistol. Something of a substantial caliber, whether it's something around 3. Depends. I mean, sometimes I'll carry a 40 or a 357. It really depends if I'm more worried about people or animals.
Like a 40 when you want to dominate the forest.
It's up here. It can, especially if the closer to the metropolitan area you are, it can get pretty. Campsites and different outdoor stuff can get pretty packed full of God knows what, and but we still have like black barrel wolves, and fucking coyote everywhere. But coyotes don't generally fuck with people. I mean, that would be, and you'd have to be in a pretty fucked up situation for coyotes to be coming after you.
Well, critters get rabid or sore or rabies and stuff. So there's instances where typically critter that's going to leave you alone is going to mess with you.
Especially if you hurt yourself. Like if you were hiking and you broke your leg or something and a pack of coyotes was not far away, and they were hungry, which has happened to people. You better be ready to defend yourself.
Good point. When stuff starts stacking up, that's when like normally hurting yourself wouldn't be such a bad thing. Normally a bunch of hungry coyotes, but when you start
well, normally being cold or normally being wet wouldn't be such a big deal, but then when you stack that up in a bunch of different things, especially when you're far away from any kind of shelter, that stuff can stack up quickly and become, suddenly being wet and cold is life-threatening, let alone animals or people or what have you.
Dan was jumping in from Illinois. Backpacking, camping, hiking, not camping, backpacking, hiking. Done any?
You mean do I do that, or which do I do?
Well, you don't have to be doing it actively at the moment, but have you backpacked, hiked?
All the above.
And then did you carry?
The very first time I was in Canada, so I wasn't allowed to. The second time I was still a minor in Shawnee National Forest. I wasn't allowed to. But in now in state parks, depending on the park I'm in, I am allowed to. And we don't have any what I would call naturally dangerous critters out here, but we do have the two-legged variety, which are even more dangerous.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I agree. No, I honestly, we got black bear. That's about the biggest thing. Maybe wolves, but we have mountain lions, but mountain lions and wolves are like lightning. You're about as likely to get struck by lightning as you are by a mountain lion. But
it's funny that you mentioned that.
Two-legged creatures are that's what.
Because about a year and a half ago, my son, for the very first time, went out west and went hiking, day hiking. And on one of his trips in Colorado, I don't remember the park, he went off trail and went in just to the entrance of a cave. And at the other end of the cave, saw what we assumes to be was a mountain lion, as a pair of yellow eyes looking back at him, large. Didn't growl at him or anything, or whatever it is they do, screech or whatever. And he saw the tail. Didn't see the head, he saw the eyes and the tail. And then just this past year, his second time going out west in Yosemite, going up towards Half Dome, is when he ran into, doing the switchbacks going up and around there, is when he ran into a black bear that was traversing the switchbacks. And in some ways, I'm very much jealous of him because, you know, when I was a young man like him, I never ran into any of that. Granted, I got to see a moose at distance, but I never got to see any actual predators. So, anyway, so I do a different sort of outdoor experience now than I did when I was in my 20s.
Moose are pretty scary, but if you're carrying a pistol, you might not.
And he was hiking by himself.
Yeah.
Well, in California, you're kind of no option there.
Exactly.
So, okay, so Gary, it sounds like you weren't carrying Dano. Said you weren't carrying PBR, though. You're carrying a handgun, it sounds like, of some kind. How do you carry physically with a backpack? How do you choose to carry?
It depends. I move it around. I usually carry, and I usually carry inside because you constantly run it. Like a lot of the trails, you'll just run into people, and you know, people around here. Most of them don't care, but I don't want to. I don't want to have to deal with some inconsolable REI member. You know what I mean? So I usually just pack either inside the waistband, like I'll move the pistol to like an appendix style, or I don't know. I have a lot of different ways to carry, and usually I'll take more than one method with me, so I can move it to a different area if I need to.
So appendix, obviously, as long as you have the body type to do that, you know, seems like an obvious choice. But what would be another option to be able to carry it? I'm trying to think other than ankle, which is
it's always on my waist. I don't use a hip strap or whatever. You know, some people use the backpacks with a big old hip strap. I have like a kidney pad, but I usually don't strap it around my waist. I just don't strap it around my waist.
Well, don't you have the problem where it has a tendency to literally, as you're with each stride, it has a tendency to bounce off your back?
No.
Okay, because I've had that issue with using crappy backpacks. The same thing with not putting that chest strap that goes across it. It has a tendency to get that momentum of the walk.
I use a chest strap. I just don't use the waist.
The waist strap.
Yeah.
And I guess it also varies on how much weight you're actually carrying. I mean, if it's just like a half-day trip or 4 hours out and then 4 hours back a different route, you're not taking overnight stuff.
Yeah, if it's just a day trip, then then it's much easier. If I'm really packing in like for an overnight camp, then I'll figure something out. If I can't wear it on my waist, then I'll stick it somewhere where I can get to it quickly. I don't know. I'm used to not wearing a waist strap, so I can throw my rucksack or my backpack off quickly, and if I have to, get into the the top, one of the top out, one of the pouches on the outside of the pack.
So
but that's not
primarily for the two-legged predator or the four?
Yeah. Oh, two-legged. I mean, like I said, like we have dangerous predators here, but the most I've seen 2 black bear in, I don't know, 20 years, and I've never seen a wolf or a cougar. And the black bears I saw were like, they just split and run. they were not interested in me. I've seen coyotes all over the place, but they're also. I've gotten really, really, really uncomfortably close to coyotes, but they're like, you know, like raccoons or dogs or whatever.
Right.
They're not interested.
Yeah, that was my son's bear experience. Is that the bear wanted nothing to do with him and kind of scampered away quickly.
I'll agree with that. Every bear I've ever seen out in the woods, the bear ran as fast as it could as soon as it noticed me.
That bear knew it wasn't following the rules, so why not that quick?
It's like, switch back.
I've had some weird experiences with bunches of elk deep in the woods because they're not afraid of much, and they're really, really big, and there's like 50 of them.
I've had elk like not move. They just stand there, and I've walked really stupidly close to them, and they don't do anything. I don't do anything. We just kind of check each other out, and the last time I'm the one who walked away, not them. I'm like, okay, see you later.
Yeah, I've done that.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying I've done that too, where I'm like, oh, I was going this way, but apparently I'm going to go way around this.
Ironically, I have minimalistic experience with elk because when I grew up, I was right next to a town called Elk Grove, and at a forest preserve, they took a herd of about 30 elk and fenced them in with like 10-foot high fences. And but obviously there was no predation, so these elk were living, you know, the full length span as they could. They weren't starving out or anything. But it you know, unless you see one face to face from, let's say, 10 feet away, you don't realize how freaking huge these animals are. You think, oh, they're just like horses with little horns. They are big, powerful animals.
Yeah, they're the size of cars.
Yeah.
I've been really interested in that Ruger pistol caliber carbine, the one that breaks down in half, specifically for hiking and camping.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like obviously you wouldn't be able to get to it quickly, but you know, it's in two pieces. You could have it on like some kind of pouch. I haven't really looked into like how I would carry it, but I like the idea of a breakdown type rifle. Even though it's in a pistol caliber, it's still a rifle versus a handgun.
Which one that breaks into two parts? Oh, that Ruger one?
The Ruger, that newer pistol caliber, basically the revamp of the pistol caliber carbine that carries Glock magazines, or excuse me, uses Glock.
That's too big. It's got a full stock on it. From what I've seen, that the 22 version of it, the 1022 version of it, that Magpul thing that they make where the stock kind of holds the forearm, so when you're actually folding it up, it's all self-contained again. That seems more appealing for like a backpack.
Well, yeah, but it's only, you know, it's only a matter of time before Ruger makes the same stock for the 9.
Yeah. Exactly. Whenever they make it more compact, then I'll dig it more. But
yeah, I mean,
I take little 22s out all the time just to play with because they're just fun and inexpensive. The ammo doesn't weigh a lot. Potentially practical if you needed it for something.
Well, if you're going to be limited to a pistol, and this is a question, why would you not up the caliber so at least you have a greater possibility of doing more than just two-legged encounters?
That's valid. Why carry, if you're going to carry something, why carry the lightest weight thing for the minimalist thing you might encounter, right?
Because you have to carry it.
Well, I mean, versus a 44, if an animal attacks you, versus a 9mm and an animal attacks you.
I don't usually carry a 9mm. It's either a 40. I don't own a 10mm, but I wouldn't mind like a Glock 10mm, but I just don't own one. But I have a couple 357s. And what I said earlier, it really depends on how far out I am and what I'm more worried about. If I'm out like in bear, the area where there's more bear, then I'll carry the 357.
I mean, it's obvious that a rifle is always preferable, but if one is not going to carry a rifle, then I would think one would want as capable of a pistol as possible.
Yeah, but I don't live in a place where there's animals that need a 44. That's like grizzly, not like black bear.
Okay.
All right,
I mean, there's their normal behavior, but then there's their physiological potential, which will easily overcome any human.
right.
Yeah.
You got to think. I don't think of like a black bear coming up and licking honey out of a little honey packet. I think the one that's rabid, that's also the biggest one out there, wants to eat me or whatever it's going to do. But let me go back to carrying the handgun. So if we're talking about some sort of a handgun for carrying, a while back, someplace in Alaska sent me kind of what looks to me like what a World War II pilot would have worn, like an outside the clothing chest rig, shoulder holster, I guess you'd call it. It goes across. It comes sort of like,
Where it's right on your sternum.
yeah, it's basically right in front of you. So I think it must come across. It doesn't have like bra straps or nothing. It's not like a carry rig for your clothing where it's trying to be discreet. It's just right in your belly. And it's perfect for like rowing a canoe, or if you're sitting in a vehicle, or if you're in a backpack, your straps are going to go all around it. It's just going to be sitting there right on your belly, basically. So unless you're like really bare belly, so this thing would be obnoxious. Like it's just right in front of you, and you can grab it from right or left. I grab it. It's designed to canted for your right side, but you can just easily grab it out with your weak hand, and it's just right in front of you. So it's definitely not concealed unless you're wearing like some sort of a cover garment. But potentially like a scarf, I guess, or something could cover it. But as far as accessibility and not getting in the way, it's the bee's knees. It's designed for like a Glock, so it's even though it's leather, it's designed for modern cuts, modern guns.
Daniel, you're echoing
Oh, I am.
a little.
Sorry.
He likes to listen to me live and right away simulcast because it's even more significant.
By the way, it's been a long time. Nice to hear from you again, Dana.
Yes, I saw you were in here, PBR, and I said, well, at least I got to stop in and say hello.
I appreciate it.
All right, so looking for the other alternative ways that people might want to carry. So Wilderness, a company out of Phoenix, awesome nylon company, made in USA, makes their stuff right in Phoenix. They make a thing called a packer, I think, or something like that. And it's basically just a big square. And it looks sort of like nowadays, what you might put a big ass iPhone or like a tablet in to like carry it around on your belt. Like if you didn't care what people thought of a big nylon thing on your belt to carry around an iPad. But it was originally designed just to be a kind of an obnoxious thing to carry a gun. And because it's, hidden in plain sight, because this is kind of big, obnoxious square on your belt, people were immediately going to ignore it because it doesn't look like a holster. But it is just a big holster. So it's not a hips bag or whatever they call those things, a fanny pack. Because it's on your belt and it is a holster, but its outside shape or look is just a big square. So anyway, it's also designed to open quickly and get at it, keep the gun indexed or in a way that you can get to it inside of there. Something like that, or like a fanny pack that work for hiking.
I don't. Yeah, I've seen people. There's I forgot what it's called, but there's like a chest pouch thing that I've seen that people wear sometimes when they're hiking backpacking because it's out of the way of the shoulder straps.
It looks like an admin pouch. This looks like a big square on your chest.
Exactly.
Like you might put a map or your GPS in, so most people are going to just blow it off. It's called the backpack. What's it called? The outfitter? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But yeah, it's basically like an admin pack, but it's really a discreet holster on your chest.
And I've seen those tracker style holsters, or I don't know what they call them. There's a name for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I've seen those holsters that you're talking about. They're like chest mounted, but they look like the old tanker holsters or World War II holsters. I don't know. If I was in Alaska, yeah, that makes perfect sense. But here, it's just not necessary. But I've seen them, been interested in them, but it's not where I'm living right currently.
So I'm in Arizona, so I'm not quite up where you guys are with the hippies and whatnot, I guess. But and I've got the international border with Mexico, which is really violent on the other side of the border. It's kind of on this side of the border, but you never know. And nobody's going to give you a second look for carrying outside or open carrying, doing anything out in the woods or the desert, or whatever you want to call it out here. But I still usually try to open carry when I'm out hiking or whatever because of the what's the word, the outreach. You know, hikers especially think that they're, I don't know what they think half the time. They do some dumb things out there, and they're pretty naive. So seeing people with guns that aren't, well, I guess I am kind of tacked out sometimes, but they can deal with it. You know, knowing that there's other people sharing the trail, they're more than willing to trade the trail with all kinds of other people doing weird things, hippies and whatnot. But you know, they're also not down for sharing trails with bicyclists or horses, depending on where you are. So don't let guns get thrown in with bicyclists and shit. I think there's an opportunity to bring hikers and stuff on board to the gun side. We're not hurting their trails at all. We're helping them.
Do you guys see the screen I'm sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to describe. Is that the one that something like that they sent you?
We talking about me? Yeah, except in leather. This is a Kydex something, but
right, the Kydex with the nylon sort of webbing.
Yeah, the one I have is just 100% leather, so it looks more like what a World War II pilot would have worn, but same idea. It's out in front of all your clothes, like in front of you. That one's a little bit lower. That looks like it's just above his belt, but that could also be a backpack strap. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is somewhat adjustable. I don't have one, but I was very close to buying one for my 44.
So here's the thing. The reason I don't use it more, or don't use it, period, I'll probably sell it, is because it doesn't have a light. And there's no way I'm going out into the woods without a light on my gun. So next question. Going out hiking, light on your gun? Yes or no, Gary?
No, I usually carry it separate because I...
Is your name Gary?
Dano, you're echoing. I usually keep it separate because I use it for other stuff too.
You're going rogue, so.
Well, I try to keep light as I can, and so keep it. You know, I'm only carrying like one, maybe two like light sources that aren't fire, and so I don't have them on my pistol. No.
Gary, light on your gun? Yes or no? My mic work? Am I still here?
Yeah.
Gary's not here. Dano.
Yes to a light, as long as I have one on my gun, but if I don't, I'm bringing a light.
Okay, not exclusionatory to having a second light. PBR said no. PNW.
I was always carrying a light, but I also always had a light on my head if it was, you know, needed, like if it's dark and whatnot.
Yeah.
A headlamp in a gunfight? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
The only sign that says insert bullet here.
Yeah, the only thing worse would be a giant, like what is that guy, Mickey Mouse ears that had some sort of like targets lit up and LEDs on them. No, whatever. Nobody's going to be able to shoot it. People have discussions on that all the time. One time we had a low light class out here a long time ago, and that was actually the thing at the time was whether or not the flash mode was worth having on a defensive flashlight or not. Whether or not it was disorienting or if it would somehow stop you from being able to shoot accurately or shoot the opponent from being able to shoot accurately. So no one had a definitive answer. So we just took a cardboard target and poked a hole in it with a knife and jammed a flashlight. Somebody was willing to sacrifice a flashlight. They put it out on the target right about in the middle of where the two eyes would be, like right in the forehead where a headlamp would be, and then turned it on to strobe mode. And then an entire class, maybe 20 people, took turns walking up and emptying a mag, trying to hit the light, and nobody hit the damn light. So people might shoot towards the light for sure, but they're not just automatically going to be able to shoot a light bulb out of, you know, the air out. Anyway, so I don't think you'd be too worried about having a headlamp on, but headlamp is either always on or always off. You don't really get a lot of manipulation, and I wouldn't want to be having a gun in my hand trying to turn my headlamp on and off. That'd be tough.
Well, like I said, like I wasn't because I was, in my 20s, so I wasn't all that worried about, finding two-legged predators at the time. I didn't think about it.
But now we're talking about now. You're living in the past, man. We're talking about now.
But I was walking along trying to not fall down because, it's the dark and in the woods, and none of our woods is flat.
But it's a good point with the headlamp. We'll probably talk about that in a second. So I think having a light on a gun is valid always, but definitely out in the woods. So you're going to want as much throw as possible, as much reach as possible. So big, giant 1,000-watt or whatever lumen light would be awesome. And fresh batteries. You want to know what your target is and what's behind it out in the middle of nowhere.
That's why I usually carry a handheld.
Oh yeah, handheld also. I mean, you don't need to take your gun out every time you want to see something. I'm not suggesting that, but anyway, all I was saying is whatever that picture Dano was showing didn't have a light on it, and that's the same thing with that leather thing I have. I kind of wish it was less it's not really like Kydex, only for a Glock. Like I'm sure I could jam other semi-autos in there, but it's not sloppy enough that I could jam a light in there. But I would definitely want a light, especially out on like a lake or something, or I don't know, when you're not around trees and stuff, when you got distance and something scurrying around out there. I want as much reach on the light as I can get. So you say you brought a shotgun? When I did most of my hiking as a kid, I had a shotgun, and for me, it was in a internal frame pack, which was the style at the time. I thought it was really cool, and it had kind of vertical slots. I don't know what to call them, but where you would stick like skis or ski poles, and then I would jam my shotgun in there, so I could pull it up over my shoulder, kind of have it stowed in that little pocket-ish area of my backpack. But how are you going to carry a rifle/shotgun? Not on a hunting trip where you're going to just be, at low ready the whole time because you're hunting, but like you're out hiking for whatever reason, you decide to carry a long gun. What option you going with, Gary?
Okay, what was the question again?
How are you going to go about carrying a long gun if you're going out hiking today? Hiking or backpack?
Guess you'd have to have a sling of some sort, but I don't have slings on any of my guns, so I'd have to think about that.
Oh, snap, really? Any of your rifles?
I only have one that has a sling. The sling that came with it isn't big enough, so I need to invest in a decent sling.
You must. That's a must-have.
That's like a talk someday on just slings, because
it's like having a pistol without a holster.
I just don't know what kind to get. I need to sound out some people on that, find out.
So this is Clover and Coast, I think, have both had Beecham Tactical. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, those look pretty good.
PBR, you ever heard of Beecham Tactical?
I have not.
You know what a VTAC is, though?
Yeah, I have a VTAC sling. I have like a Blue Force. I have another one I can't. But there's
basically a VTAC, except that instead of using the thing from a Alice pack for the little gizmo, he uses something else. But then his deal is he takes, and it's really just a VTAC. But instead of the pad part of the VTAC, he weaves some 550, some real 550, US made 550, like in a braid around it. So it creates sort of a stiff and sort of a pad. And it's just a dude. I think he's a ranger, and he's just up there making them. And he's a cool ass dude, and he's just making them himself. So that's what I'm going to recommend. It's just a simple 2-point sling. The VTAC is what I would normally recommend, but Vickers got enough money now. This dude is making his very similar. Uses all US hardware. It's good to go, and he's a real dude. And nothing more than just 2 attachment points, one up front and one in back, because a sling's job is to make you shoot better. And then it can also make it easier to carry it around. But like I say, we can have a whole discussion on slings sometimes. I've got very specific utilitarian designs for my slings, and I don't play with none of that design of the month sling garbage.
Here's mine, the one I got recently. Let me hold on one moment. Let me try to find it. I like simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Like no 3-point shit, no single point, nothing crazy, just something mellow, something simple. Here's a link. It's called the Proctor sling, and the reason I like it is it's got a a 550 like attachment point, you can either rock both. You can rock one. You don't have to have any of them, but you don't need any kind of you don't have to rely on any kind of weird sling swivel or anything like that. I'm trying to find the actual website. I'm not finding it. But yeah, it's just simple. I like simple slings. I mean, if you're on a budget and you have something like a wide sling mount, you can get like the old USGI black, whatever those nylon slings were.
I don't really like them. Like a 2-point sling on my rifle because I like to be able to wrap it around my arm and create another right angle.
You did or don't?
I do.
Yes, I agree, but I don't like them black ones because the attachment point on a stupid M16 was rigid, and like you say, you got to use like a 550 or something more flexible. But
well, that's what this sling that I basically, it's like a better version of that sling, but it's comes with its own 550 attachment points that I don't know. I really like it. It's fortunately the only website I'm finding now is like Troy and Amazon, of course, Optics Planet, but it's called the Proctor Sling. And I put a link in from Bravo Company in the side shot.
Yeah, I just showed it there.
So you're just using paracord to attach it to the rifle?
Yeah, it's like a basically, but it's like it's just the way that if you look at it, it's like the way here's a better picture of it on this website. The way it's attached is like a little more substantial than just single paracord.
I forget what kind of knot you call that, but you just insert it in through the loop through whatever type of D-ring or whatever it is you have to attach it to it.
Yep. Yeah, they're really nice. I have one on my one of my ARs, and it's actually my favorite sling because it's so minimal. I don't like quick detach and weird shit like that because there's too much that can go wrong. I've broken so many buckles and so much shit that at this point now it's like I want the least amount of gadgets on a sling. But to get back to G-Webs,
hold on, we're going left right. So Gary's throwing it on a sling. Dano carrying a long arm backpacking. How are you going about it?
Could you say it a little again? I couldn't quite hear you.
Going with a long arm, shotgun or rifle, and you're backpacking. How are you going about carrying that thing?
A rifle would be assuming that I was not going over difficult terrain, meaning where I needed to use both hands to like scamper up some sort of rock climbing. It would be like over my shoulder.
Okay, just sling over your shoulder.
Either that or crossways on my back.
Got a backpack on.
Oh, I got a backpack on. Okay. I would try to get the type of backpack where I could insert it and just pull it out by the barrel.
Okay. So you're talking like the kind where they put it like where the water bladder would be? A lot of those packs are being made nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay. PBR, what were you going to say? Carrying a long arm.
I finally found his website. But most times I don't. When I carry a rifle, the rifle is backup. I'm actually carrying the pistol, but the rifle's usually in a case, like stowed in on my rucksack. I don't really, like I said, most times when I'm out here, I don't have any kind of. If I'm not hunting, I don't really need it ready. So that's why I was interested in breakdown rifles, because I could break it down to make it smaller, easier to carry.
All right, boys.
Well, I'm going to live in the past again. I remember I used to have one of the sheaths that, like, similar to what you were saying, where I just pull it over my shoulder and it attached to the side of my backpack. And it was like an 18.5-inch barrel, so it wasn't too obnoxiously over my head or anything.
Yeah, exactly. They make those scabbards. They're basically like what you would have carried on a horse back in the day, except they're made out of nylon. They're not even expensive. It's like $25 for a garbage one, and I don't know, probably more than that if you buy one made to say. But they're got all kinds of attachment points. So you can tie them on to pretty much anything, and then yeah, they just become a big sliding sheath basically for a shotgun or a rifle without a scope.
And that is essentially what I guess I would prefer, rather than one in place of a ladder. But you know, I would consider possibly, depending on how it was configured, then removing the sling entirely, so there would be no snag points.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you always want a sling.
Yeah,
if you do end up using it, you need a way to carry it, because you don't want to set your rifle down and walk, you know, end up not having it on your body if you need it.
No, I guess what I'm saying is depending on what you're anticipating. Like if you're going to hunt something, meaning you might need to draw it sooner rather than later. You don't want to get snagged up on your gear.
I'm assuming hunting, we're just carrying our gun. We're not.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever. All right, cool. So I just want to throw out there, lever actions are valid. They're one the West. They're super practical and useful for everything we've been talking about. Sling them with a 2-point attachment like they're made for. And they, our grandpappies figured out all that stuff a long time ago. Those work in those scabbards real well too. Then you've got 6 rounds of real ammo. You can reload it from a thing on the stock or from the sling itself. Put a couple of rounds on the sling.
You're absolutely right. That's the rifle I don't have that I certainly would like to have, is a lever action 30-30 or 45-70.
Yeah, and then there's probably something to get in like a 45, right? 45 in your lever and in a revolver or something like that. So now let's go to other gizmos and things, accoutrement. So besides walking with a firearm, you guys carry anything else like sticks or sprays or noise makers or anything like that, or personal security?
Sometimes I carry bear mace, depending.
The big fire extinguisher looking thingy?
The one I have is smaller.
So is it just more powerful-ish, like more Caspians or something?
I have no idea.
I assume bear meant bigger, but does it mean like more powerful also?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's more like, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to use it on people. But yeah, it's
like the Saber Red variation type.
I've never had to use it. In fact, I kind of stopped carrying it because it was so I felt it was kind of a little redundant, and like I like the, I'm more weight conscious because I end up going for, at times I end up going quite a ways. So like I said, like I'm not carrying like a lot of extra crap, hence me ditching the pistol light in favor of just a handheld flashlight. So I recently just stopped carrying it because it was just redundant.
Anybody else carry anything besides firearms? Whistles? Anybody got whistles?
Oh, definitely whistles. I remember carrying a couple flares.
Well, I mean, the whistles for in case I get lost, you know, get lost or something.
Right.
Oh yeah, whistles. You can make critters leave with the whistles real easy.
Yeah. Never thought about that.
It's also good when you got weirdos up in front of you. Just start blowing a whistle and being obnoxious. And if they're regular people, they're gonna just look at you like you're weird as shit. But if they're up to no good, then you know they're gonna be like, "Wait a minute, this isn't my typical prey." So there's nothing wrong with being weird, especially out in the middle of nowhere. Let them.
Good point. Never thought about that.
But like you say, fall down or something, hurt yourself, and people might not be anywhere near you, but they can hear a whistle, and you know, any kind of a consistent, you know, the SOS is easy, 3 shorts and 3 longs over and over and over, gets people's attentions. But just any regular pattern is going to get people's attention, and you can blow a whistle easily compared to yelling or screaming or any other kind of racket you can make, and people can go back and forth blowing whistles. So whistle without a ball in it, and even like my best advice is the dollar store solid aluminum ones seem to be really awesome. Otherwise, some little plastic ones that are kind of thin, those end up working pretty good. But blow the whistle in the store a few times. Don't just assume that the whistle you have is worth a shit. Most of them aren't, and I think that's one of those overlooked things. And again, you got weird critters, unless they're rabid or super pissed. whistle's going to make most critters get the hell out of there.
I have the kind that are meant for like distress. Those things are freaking loud. I mean, they're really loud.
Like they pitch them to like an annoying, like not just like for sports or whatever. Like a sports whistle is kind of designed to not be annoying.
It's meant to like carry, like it's meant to be loud as fuck, and they really. I've been out there just. Testing it just to see what it was like, because I'm not gonna blow it inside the store, so I took it out to the middle of nowhere. We were hiking. I let it rip, and I was blown away by how loud that thing was.
You mentioned flares, or somebody mentioned flares. What kind of flares are you talking about?
Because it was back in the day, just regular road flares in like a Ziploc baggie. Just there's a whole bunch of uses. Like you hit that flare, and there's no animal on God's green earth that's gonna want to fuck with you unless they're super rabid. If you've got a bunch of flame in your hands.
That's a good point. And they make a lot of smoky, like whatever. Some fire stations and stuff are going to see that.
Right. And then to go back to whistle just for a second, I know when I've hiked with other people, like my brother or whatever, we'll start wandering off, one will go this way or go that way to meet up again. The whistle's a great way to make sure you know where each other are.
The only reason I wouldn't carry the flare where I live is I'd probably light the whole damn place on fire.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like a marine flare. It's like, and I just set the whole forest on fire.
Yeah, you got to be careful where I'm at.
So marine flares are definitely something to look at. The life rafts have some sort of a rule where they can only have them for so long in there, and then they have to recycle them or pull them out and put new ones in. So like any kind of established lifeboat someplace is going to cycle through those flares, distress flares that shoot up with a parachute. And I get them cheap, like really cheap. You can get them for like $2 a piece. When if you try to buy a real one, they're like way more than that, $30. So they still work just fine. And yeah, they're not appropriate everywhere, but think about that. There's lots of opportunities for first aid stuff that has expiration dates on it. First aid stuff the same way. Other noisemakers or anything? Have you seen anything like that?
You mean like bear bells and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, that or like there's high-pitched alarms that you can get for just like jogging and hiking, where if somebody starts to mess with you, you just pull this thing like a ripcord, and then it just starts making this really obnoxious high-pitched noise, like a car alarm-ish type of noise.
Is that different than aerosol horns people use sometimes?
Yeah, because they're electric
in the crowd.
Yeah, they're way louder.
They're electric, yeah, and they're like a more of a consistent. They're electric. As long as the battery lasts, they go.
Yeah, if you're it pulls that pin, you're gonna leave.
We used to carry air horn.
Just a plain old air horn, like Dan was saying, just to make noise.
Yeah.
For bears or for getting lost?
Probably both.
A couple of times where we hunt, it's the trees are like just higher than a person, but if you stand up a hill, there's plenty of hills and stuff, then you can see forever. So seeing each other is tough, but getting up onto a hill is easy enough. So we would take smoke bombs, just stuff you get at 4th of July type of stuff. And let's say we're out somewhere and we needed to bring people in, and we'd be in like walkie-talkies or whatever, or just whatever, and then you'd pop a green smoke bomb, and everybody know, okay, that's where he's at. I'm gonna walk that way. I don't know if people have used stuff like that before for signaling.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I probably shouldn't have brought that I brought with me, but
yeah,
So-
the only thing I carry for self-defense is the gun. I guess I have a couple knives, but I don't really carry them for. I mean, I could use them, but I don't. That's not why. You know what I mean?
The knives I have are more for general camp use.
Oh yeah, I've never carried a knife or anything like that. I've carried an expandable baton though. When I walk the dogs, it's not practical to try to shoot dogs off each other when they're dog fighting. It's not legal in Arizona either. So, but like I say, mostly it's just not practical. So I carry an expandable baton. I figure if some rogue dog comes running up, just wants to fight with my dog, I want to protect my dog still. Like I say, it's not legal to do anything lethally against that other dog, and like I say, it's just not practical. But smacking another dog with one of those metal sticks or a spring stick or whatever, expandable baton, is a thing. And then just being able to leverage something off, having that control, that stick to help pull something off, is something I've carried for when I'm hiking or walking, and that doesn't matter if I'm in city or out in the woods, because I figure, well, there's rogue dogs out there, just dog packs that live out there. A little different than coyotes, they're just a little bit meaner than coyotes, I think.
My only thought on that is, if it's a dog, rather than discouraging the fight, you're encouraging violence, which may turn on you.
Well, I ain't saying it's a great idea. I'm just saying it's something that I don't think spraying dogs or pepper spray at a bunch of dogs fighting. I don't want to get my own dog, for one, and I don't know if that's going to break them up. And like I said, what else are you going to do? For a while, I was carrying gloves, figuring I'd wrestle another dog off of my dog, but with the Doberman, that wasn't something I was looking forward to getting into. Getting into a dog fight.
Haven't had that problem. I don't have a dog, but I've been around wild dogs, or feral dogs, I should say.
Normally I wouldn't want to get close enough to a critter to need a stick or whatever. I'm just thinking if a critter came up to my dog, there's nothing I can do about it. Couldn't pick up the 90-pound dog. I could probably pick up this dog, get away, leave. But depending on what's going on, that's not always an option.
Yeah, but that animal or that dog is going to be biting at your legs, trying to get at the dog. That's over your shoulder.
Not always. Sometimes it's just like, I want to play, and you're like, well, let's just get the hell out of here and let that dog keep living its life or whatever. Sometimes just get out. I don't know. There's all kinds of situations when you're on critters.
It's a good idea. I've run into bunches of times where I've had dogs where I'm walking along and somebody else's dog is running way ahead of wherever the hell they are. So all of a sudden you just meet this dog in the middle of the woods, and their masters are 400 yards behind it. And you don't know whether that dog's mean or whatever, or anything about that dog.
All right, so we'll wrap it up with, you're going hiking tomorrow. You bring in the gun channels people with, so it's a big event. Money's no object. I'll repeat, money is no object. Where are we going hiking? Backpacking, whatever. Gary.
Well, trying to think. The only places, well, I do know some places. There's a place in South Texas that'd be really great. There's some ranches down there that have some great places to hike. It's got the hills aren't too bad, and you can climb them and everything, but you could day camp there and everything else. So that'd be my pick.
And I'm guessing in Texas, there'd be opportunities for pig hunting. So I'm guessing people would dig that.
Opportunities for what?
Pig hunting. There's pigs everywhere in Texas.
Oh, yeah. Wild boar. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dano, where are we going?
Any national park that allows me to carry something greater than a butter knife to protect myself.
Well, thanks to Obama, that's everyone with a state that has CCW that your CCW works in.
So I say any place but California.
So Dano going with the any place answer. PBR, where are we going hiking?
Got a friend that owns a giant lodge in Mount Hood National Forest, so I'd probably borrow it from him. And it's in the middle of nowhere. It's like Oregon forest, so it's like pretty close to Ewoks running around. Pretty epic.
Right on. Money's no object, so we can pay your friend.
Oh yeah.
Greatly for that. Right on. PNW, where are we going?
Well, I'm gonna have to stick up for Washington and go with Mount Rainier. Same idea.
Ooh, that's a good one. Mount St. Helens is pretty cool too.
Yes,
I smell a Bigfoot.
There'll be a rock on the mountaintop. Okay,
I did that on purpose.
All right.
St. Helens is cool because you can still see like the destruction. Like it's still like the street. You can still. The trees are just. It's amazing.
You mean from Mount St. Helens?
yeah, St. Helena, it's beautiful though. It's not. You would think it looks like a bomb went off, but it doesn't. It's like all growing back, but you can still see the destruction.
Yeah, I was a freshman in college the summer that went off, and I remember seeing the pictures from helicopters, you know, like a week after when they were finally able to get, you know, distant shots of it, and it was just unbelievable, the scale of it. And I'm sure the cameras did not truly catch how epic it actually was.
The cool thing is it's all growing back. Like they thought it would never. They thought it'd be a wasteland forever. Now it's coming back, but it's like, I don't know. It's cool because you won't see something like that anywhere else. That kind of destruction, and then, you know, it's pretty amazing.
But it's all, you know, to put in perspective, it's been 40 years or just coming up on 40 years.
Yeah, and it's still cool as hell. I love it up there.
July of 80, I think.
Yep.
May 18th.
So S. Johnson on the YouTube side knows what we're talking about. He says the moon. So who's down for going to the moon to go backpacking? It'd be like that one. What's that one where the asteroid was going to do something? They had to go up to the asteroid, so they got the old guys to go up into space.
Oh, is it Armageddon?
I don't remember. It's one of them. So it'd be like that. We get a bunch of old gun channels people, all crotchety and like, and then we go up to space, and then we'd be on the moon, and we set up the first range on the moon.
Dude, Bob would end up puncturing his suit, and it'd become a big old issue. And
you know, somebody would get shot. Something would happen.
Somebody would pop their suit.
Like,
somebody would set off the nuke too early.
Not going to give us a nuke, I don't think.
Space Cowboys.
That would have been it. So I like that moon idea. Then he said Mars. That seems like a lot of weight. I don't want to wait all that.
I've seen Total Recall. It's doable.
We got some kind of Mars gate where you walk through it, like in Stargate or whatever, and you walk out and you're on Mars. Maybe then. But I like the idea of doing the first shooting on the moon. At least the first public shooting on the moon. All kinds of YouTube videos up there and stuff. So then they're talking about the Ozarks. Okay. And then we've got Pomade saying, money's no object. I want to hike the mountain border between Italy and Switzerland.
Oh, hell yeah.
That sounds like a lot of work, but it'd probably be beautiful, I imagine.
There's watching that Cap and Ball, you know, that guy, his YouTube channel makes me want to visit Hungary. Like, all the outdoor stuff. He has, like, hunting videos on his channel in Hungary, and it looks pretty cool. But yeah, the Alps would be cool.
So 7 is saying the mountains in Sarge's area are beautiful. Come on. We're from the west out here, so we know what mountains are. Mountains have snow on them all the time. Hills.
Yeah. Amen. If it doesn't have snow year round, it's not a mountain.
Any park that's not in California, I actually meant Western Park. It's National Park.
There's lots of them out here.
And I'll take any one of them that's not in California.
So I've hiked a lot, and I'm trying to think of a place that would be all that good. But I think I'm going to default back to the everybody meets up in Albuquerque, and we go hike around the rocks where Red Dawn was filmed, because that wouldn't kill anybody. And then head over to the Whittingham Range again, the NRA place in New Mexico, and do some hiking there, hunting for sheep or something, antelopes, I guess. And then whenever we get bored or sick of that, we head up and hike around the museum at Dragon Man's. And then we got Colorado right there. There's all kinds of mountains there to hike in. I don't know if it's anything specifically, but I'm assuming the Rockies would be pretty fun.
I do have to throw one out there for, I don't know who suggested it, the Ozark National Forest. I've been on the Missouri side of that forest, and it is, granted, it's an ancient mountain system, so it doesn't have the grandeur necessarily of the Rockies or that, but it is absolutely stunning driving on those country roads out in those ancient mountains.
I've been to the Superstitions down by you, but I don't know how good a hike. I mean, it's not really, I don't know. It's fun to look at, but it's not like good hiking. I mean, well, it is good hiking, but it's not like.
It's several hundred miles long. Yeah.
Superstitions is. Go ahead. Sorry, G.
I thought you were talking about Ozarks. That would just be through woods and stuff, like occasionally a scenic outlook.
I think I saw me a Bigfoot.
I'm talking about the superstitions in Arizona. I've been there once, a long time ago.
Now we kill most of the people here. Superstitions are called that because people kept dying out there.
Yeah, they're
people. I'm not trying to kill us all.
I've seen them. I didn't hike them. I just saw them. Like, hey, look at that. I'm not
It's either
going there.
too cold to hike or too hot to hike. There's like a little sliver in the middle there where you don't die, but then it would kill us because of the terrain and everything. Ozzy's saying the Mayan ruins. I'm down for anything South America. That sounds awesome. Go hike to some crazy.
I mean, okay, all right. Money's no object. I mean, I have a life goal of I have a friend that, or my best friend owns a large sailboat. We've been usually just tooling around the rivers and occasionally going out to the Pacific Ocean. Sometimes we go up to Washington, but haven't gone any farther than like from Oregon to out into the Pacific to Washington. And but my goal would be to visit a lot of those islands that, you know, we had to invade during the, you know, the Pacific, you know, campaign in World War II that people don't go to very often anymore, or never even heard of, like, you know, all those different battlefields all throughout the South Pacific via, you know, going via like sailboat. And then you could get off the boat and hike around the islands and check out all the different like craters and pillboxes that are probably still there. That would be, if money's no object, that would be it. Rent the biggest fucking sailboat and go to, you know, all those Pacific theater, you know, battle sites, islands, whatever.
How about in a sub?
Fucks, I don't know. I'd rather be above the waves.
Having been in a submarine, hell no.
All right, that would get us our own submarine, though.
I'm not. I'm kind of against the submarine.
Yeah, I mean, I could do a few days and then I'm ready to get the fuck off.
All right. Well, there's something to be said for having like an aircraft carrier where we have our range up on the deck, like we were talking about.
I did mention that the Yorktown was available.
All you have to do is you get something that kind of floats and you tie some 550 and you trail it off the back of the boat as far as you want. You just shoot off the back. I've done that.
Oh yeah, we'll be shooting all kinds of stuff off our boat.
We usually carry rifles with us, and we'll just tie something like, you know, some kind of floating, something that floats, and we'll just throw it off the back with like 100-yard or a piece of 550 and just shoot at it.
All right. Well, so we were talking about hiking and carrying guns, and that was our show today. So, what did you got a gun shop for today?
Yeah, it's one that I just kind of stumbled on the other day, and it's where I bought my daughter's little Ruger that I bought. It's called Mary's Pistols. Let me screen share here real quick. Come on, Wood.
This place? Yep.
And that's Mary right there, and she calls herself the Queen of Guns. And it's a kind of a smaller shop. They were really super friendly, really, really nice. That little window right there that you can see where it just says pistols. You would never guess this is a gun store unless you're right on top of it. It's kind of in a little strip mall. I believe it's her and her son that run it now. And really good, decent prices, and a really great lady. Talked to her for a while. Did try to talk her into letting me take some pictures. She wasn't super keen on that, so I'm going to keep going back until she lets me take some more pictures.
Where is this at?
Tacoma, Washington.
Oh, nice. Not too far.
Yeah. And that had some pretty good deals. Gave me a pretty good price on my daughter's gun. See if I can find the picture that I liked. I don't know if you guys can see my screen here. I did like when you walked in, you had to have the pull your pants up or don't come in. Give you an idea of kind of their attitude.
I kind of like that.
Does not apply to children under 3. But super nice. I was probably there better part of an hour just talking to Iced Up with them and trying to talk up gun channels and trying to get it, particularly the guy that sold me the gun, which was the son, to, you know, he should check out gun channels and check it out. And it was a really good experience. And, you know, they also have a dog. It's a really big dog. I don't remember what kind it was, but it was a really big dog. And we already know any gun store that has a dog is probably a good gun store. But they didn't have a lot of pictures or anything with their website. So they just have the couple there that they have.
Right on. Well, that's what it's all about. Finding shops out there that are cool and promoting them. We try to feature a shop every day. That's why we do the show on a daily basis. So we'll put that in the description there. And if you know a shop and you'd like to help promote it, let us know. dailygunshow@gmail.com is the email. Anybody want to throw anything else out there before we head out?
No, it was a great show, Joe. Thanks, G.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. And we'll be back sometime tomorrow.